You said that they are only getting these jobs because of their race or gender.
That's not what I said.
And not because they are qualified.
Not
so
what
are
I
they
said.
qualified or not?
That's not what I said.
Are they qualified or not?
Abby Phillip on her CNN show went up against two MAGA weasels in Hogan Gidley and Brad Todd in a heated debate about the ongoing Charlie Kirk insanity that's happening in the United States. We're going to take a look at this debate between Abby Phillip and the rest on her CNN show. I'm going to add my thoughts on this as well. Let's get into it together.
Oklahoma tonight says it will require a turning point chapter at every high school in the state. That, of course, is the group that Charlie Kirk founded. The state superintendent, who you might be familiar with because he's no stranger to controversy, says that it's a move that's designed to fight the left.
We have seen the outpouring from parents, teachers, and students that want to be engaged in a meaningful work going on at Turning Point. For far too long, we have seen radical leftists with the teachers union dominate classrooms and push woke indoctrination on our kids. What we're going to continue to do is make sure that our kids understand American greatness, engage in civic dialogue, and have that open discussion. We will continue to do all that we can to make sure Oklahoma students have the best education possible.
And if that's not enough, here's what he wrote in a letter to parents. Whether your child attends a public school, private school, or is homeschooled, they now have the tools to start a chapter, make their voices heard. Our kids must get involved and active. Our fight starts now. Sochi, I don't even know where to begin, but this is real. This is actually happening in America.
Yeah, and it's scary. I mean, what happened to Charlie Kirk was a tragedy. And I actually take offense saying that the left wasn't speaking out, because I did, and so did a lot of other people, and Democrats did speak out that day and the days after. But I do not think that we should be forcing ideology on our children, especially in public schools. After the shooting of Gabby Giffords, we were not forcing ideology in Arizona about guns. You know, after Minnesota state legislator was killed and her husband was killed in their home by an anti-abortion activist, we weren't going into Minnesota schools and trying to promote abortion in those schools. So there are things that happen, and there are ways to honor Charlie Kirk's legacy. And I honestly think the best way to do that was what Erica Kirk was saying, was respect for the First Amendment, was things that Charlie lived by. This is not the respect for our public institutions and for First Amendment. This is forcing an ideology into our schools that I think is unacceptable.
Hogan?
Okay. Oklahoma itself, obviously a very conservative place. All 77 counties went for Donald Trump. They most likely will embrace at least parts of this. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's death, I think it can't be overstated the importance, the impact he's had on youth across this country. While I'm well aware that the left is going to be quite upset that students dare hear a different side of an issue as opposed to the leftist indoctrination they've been getting now in public schools for decades, thanks to the teachers' unions, this is a fight that they will have at the local level, undoubtedly. I would imagine, just for the sheer balance of the whole thing, this will end up being just fine. And I think students that want to opt in will opt in. Students that won't want to opt in won't opt in, and they'll do their own thing. But there are plenty of places to have robust, open, honest debate. Starting them in high school is a great place for that to begin.
Can I just say, Hogan, just to boil things down, first of all, do you agree or disagree with the decision to force every high school in Oklahoma to have a Turning Points USA chapter?
Well, it depends on what they already forced them to do now.
Okay, so unless they're forcing them to have a Democrats, of America chapter, I'm not aware of any mandate anywhere in this country to have a political organization on campus. You're okay with that?
Again, at the local level, I am. Whatever they decide to do, they can do. That's what the beauty of this republic is.
They're not deciding. Local jurisdictions aren't deciding. It is the state that is deciding for schools. And to be honest with you, I also take offense to this lefty ideology something. Teachers are underpaid. They are doing the best job that they can
That's
do.
a non sequitur and
they-
has nothing to do with anything.
Yes, it does.
No, it
You were
doesn't.
attacking
My mother
teachers.
was a public school teacher.
You
her
were just
entire
saying
life.
leftist ideology coming from the teachers. The statement says
The teachers'
that.
unions, absolutely.
We just have to
The
look
te-
at the teachers' unions manifestos to see their
100%.
I'll answer your question. I don't think the state should mandate that there should be chapters of this or any other organization at schools. However, I do think local school boards should not be able to block it. Right now, first off, the organization is called Club America. That's the high school group. Their purpose is to promote free thinking and engage in grassroots activism. That's pretty good. It's a 501c3. It's a nonpartisan group. But, we see a lot of places where high schools are blocking organizations like the junior ROTC from coming in. We shouldn't have that either. Students should be able to organize in these good patriotic groups in their own schools, and where they can learn things and organize optionally.
I agree with that. I'm not aware. I don't know what the deal is with schools blocking ROTC, but I'm also not aware of any schools blocking the creation of Turning Point chapters. I mean, it's just if students want to create a chapter, they can. Why on earth is the state getting involved in
Clinton,
saying?
Mississippi, there's a controversy.
Now, that's spot on from Abby Phillip, and that's exactly the point that I would make. If kids in the school get together and they want to start a Turning Point chapter, fine. But MAGA loves to talk about how all these various things get crammed down their throat. The liberal ideology, they're cramming it down my throat. I don't think I've ever seen anything as performative in my entire life politically as what's going on with Charlie Kirk. You talk about cramming stuff down people's throats. You have this Ryan Walters, the superintendent in Oklahoma, who is a real piece of work, who is going to require all of the schools in Oklahoma to have a Turning Points chapter. Also in Oklahoma, there is legislation that, if it would pass, would require every university in the state of Oklahoma to have a statue honoring Charlie Kirk. I just read this evening that there is legislation that the United States would have commemorative Charlie Kirk coins, 400,000 of them, I believe silver dollars is what they're talking about. On every single one of these shows, the people on the left should be saying, he was a podcaster. Most of America did not know who Charlie Kirk was before he died. Is it sad and tragic that he was murdered? Yes, but have a little bit of perspective on this. He's being compared to Martin Luther King. At the time that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, everybody in the country knew who he was. This martyrdom and this, again, cramming down the throats of most of the country who didn't know about or care about Charlie Kirk, that we all suddenly have to honor this guy, again, who was a podcaster and a YouTuber. He didn't do anything heroic. He didn't save anybody's life. He wasn't a war hero. He didn't cure a disease. He was a guy who talked crap on the internet every day. Not a hero. So this idea that all schools would be required to have a chapter dedicated to him is just insanity. Our country is going nuts. I mean, does anybody agree with me on this? Abby Phillip is exactly right. These two MAGA weasels here, particularly Hogan Gidley, I mean, give me a break on this stuff. And it's always the teachers' unions, blah, blah, blah. They're indoctrinating kids. I come from a family of teachers. I know a lot of teachers. I don't know any of them that are indoctrinating kids. They're just trying to get kids to learn math and science and English. The country has lost its mind.
There right now that they may have tried to block a creation of.
Okay, well, we'll look at
the school board, the local education association.
Well, look.
That's in the press in Mississippi.
I mean, look, this is, look, let me read this line again. Our kids must get involved and active. Our fight starts now. What fight? I mean, what is he talking about?
Look, I was a public school teacher. I started my professional career.
Sorry, I want to stop again because I want to address the fight starts now thing that Abby Phillip brought up. This Ryan Walters guy constantly is railing against the woke left and all of this stuff that they're doing against the kids. They believe, or at least they pretend to believe, that this is a real war. This isn't just, hey, we have disagreements, let's talk it out, like they claim that Charlie Kirk was doing. They think they're in a cultural war. And again, it's insanity. As a little aside, Megyn Kelly did a video talking about claiming that Charlie Kirk and his wife believed that they had been cursed, and this was supposedly the night before his death, And they called in a friend, perhaps a Catholic priest, to try to lift this curse from them. So this is what we're dealing with MAGA, people who believe in literal curses and that there are demons and devils and all of these things, literal demons and devils. That's what we're dealing with these right-wing lunatics.
Teaching in public schools. Nowhere have I ever seen anything like this taking place short of what happened post-Civil War. What is going on in this country today is exactly what went on after Reconstruction in this country. And that is what is being attempted here. On January 6th, I knew exactly what was taking place. And I started writing a book about it that is going to be released on November 11th. Now, you probably ain't going to like the book because it's factual.
Will you sign it if I buy one?
Yeah, it's a factual book. It goes into exactly what was happening on January 6th. It goes into exactly what Project 2025 is all about. Read the part on Project 2025 on education and see what's there. It is exactly what they're doing in Oklahoma today. And they're getting their instructions from somewhere up here, and this superintendent is carrying them out.
The Ryan Walters, I mean, he's been quite a character this year. He's also been investigating Oklahoma school districts for allegedly not honoring Charlie Kirk's death. I guess some of what's my question is about all of this is, are we just, or not we, are conservatives just suddenly okay with a state superintendent or anybody dictating how people should feel, what schools should honor, what clubs should exist, what clubs should not? I mean, is that just part of the
you have
ideology
one elected
now?
official who is responsive to the primary voters of one state here. So let's don't put Ryan Walters' opinion onto everybody else. I'll tell you one thing we do know, though, is that when Melissa Hortman, the Speaker of the Minnesota legislature, was shot, there was a commemorative resolution in the Congress, and every Republican voted for it.
Right.
When Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political beliefs, there were 58 Democrats who would not vote for a resolution to honor him. So
And I was one of them.
Why do you think it was?
I don't mind honoring anybody's life. I've got a problem with their legacy. And I know what the legacy of Kirk was. When I turn on my TV and I see someone telling me what an awful person Martin Luther King Jr. was, when I see somebody telling me if I get on an airplane and there's a black pilot, I begin to wonder, is he qualified? What does that mean? Those are the words that came out of his mouth.
That's not what he said. And
that is exactly what he said. I got the exact quote.
It's not in context at all what he was talking about. It was a conversation about affirmative action. You know that, Congressman. This has been well litigated and well debated.
Everything about black people is about affirmative action. And so what's wrong with affirmative action?
No.
Look, you're telling me that when I came out of college and couldn't get a job, that was because I was not qualified?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is Charlie Kirk was very clear. If these companies openly say that they have to somehow fill a quota of people, whether it be a race or gender, not based on merit, but based on their race or gender, the obvious should be clear to everyone, which is that person then qualified?
So
that's an obvious question. Because of the bar that the corporation itself set up by saying publicly, we're going to do this type of DEI hiring, then you have to wonder, is it because of their race or their gender?
Can I just that's not what it is.
Hold on, that's not what it is. Hogan, why would you have to wonder about anything? Yeah, I mean, why would you have to wonder that? Yeah. The only reason you would wonder that is if you're inclined to believe that nobody can be qualified if they are black and brown going into those roles. But here's one other thing that I think is just a factual dispute with what you're describing. You're suggesting that the standards are lower for people of color filling these roles when there is absolutely
the exact opposite.
No evidence.
The exact opposite.
No, but that's what you said.
No, it isn't.
Hold on, Hogan. You said that they are only getting these jobs because of their race or gender.
That's not what I said.
And not because they are qualified. So are they qualified or not?
That's not what I said.
Are they qualified or not?
What I said was
hold on, Hogan, is a pilot sitting on an airplane, flying a plane, whether he's black or white or a woman or gay or lesbian, are they If they are sitting in that seat and they meet the FAA requirements for being in that seat, are they qualified?
If they are qualified, I sure hope so.
Are they? But you don't believe that they're qualified
That's not
because
what I said.
of what?
What I said was, if the criteria was their race or gender,
Yeah,
then
but
how am I to know
that's
what the
why I'm telling
qualification
you, Hogan,
is there?
that
We
is
had
a
a president of the
factual
United States.
error that
we
you
had
are
a
making.
president of the
Hold
United
on,
States,
Hogan,
and
I
Joe
don't want
Biden,
you to-
who came out and said
Hogan, you're
he
changing-
wanted a,
listen, I don't want
he
you to change the
wanted a
subject
woman
because
of
you are
color
making-
to be the vice president.
The-
So when I noticed
Hogan, you
that that's
were-
what he said, that's not my
Hold
fault.
on, my
Joe
friend.
Biden said it.
You were in the White House when Donald Trump said he was going to put a woman on the Supreme Court, and then he picked Amy Coney Barrett. Is she not qualified?
She is extremely qualified.
Okay, so
of course.
why is
why-
she
why-
qualified, but Ketanji Brown Jackson is not?
He talked about the qualification as well. What I'm saying is, in that clear
listen.
directive from Joe Biden, in the clear directive from those
Hogan,
companies, they are
Hogan,
saying we are filling
let
a
me
quota.
ask.
They're not even saying filling
I'm
a
going to
quota
ask you
with the
again
most
because I think you have
qualified.
another opportunity to really think this through.
I've thought it through,
Donald Trump said, "I am going to pick a woman to go on the Supreme Court." Oh, you know
said
what?
it was one of his
Let me give you another one.
So should he not have done that?
George H.W. Bush said,
Well, take it
"I
back
am
to
going
Ronald
to
Reagan.
pick
That's just the same.
I'm going to pick a black man to fill a role on the Supreme Court." Are those people unqualified?
I want always the most qualified people to
Are
hold
they
those
qualified
jobs.
or not?
It depends on their
Was it a
qualification.
quota or not?
It's always a
Because-
quota when you base it on
because
race or
Ketanji
gender.
Brown
If you base
Jackson-
it on qualification,
Hogan,
if the person is
Hogan,
hired as black
I
or a
really-
woman or whatever, it
listen,
doesn't
hold on.
matter. That's
Let
the
me just
point.
ask you a direct question.
It's the ultimate
Is it okay for
meritocracy.
Donald Trump to have DEI quotas or not?
It's not okay for anyone to have DEI
So then
quotas.
why did he have a DEI quota, by your definition, for Amy Coney Barrett?
He didn't. He said that was one of the selections.
He-
People said he should fill it with a woman.
Okay. He said he was going to fill it with a woman, and he did.
He did not only interview
Okay.
women for the job.
Correct.
Okay.
This all started
I got-
when we were talking
I got
about
12
whether
of
or
his
not,
quotes right here.
whether or not Democrats should have voted to honor Charlie Kirk's life. And Congressman, I respect you. You are a living legend. I deeply respect your motives. However, I think that this is a question of whether we honor people who gave their life to public service. I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything.
Okay.
But he gave his life to public service.
I'll let you have
He
the
may
last
have,
word on this. Go ahead.
But let me just say this. His life is one thing, his legacy is another. Now, I honor everybody's life. But when you tell me that was a diversity hire, when you tell me you're going to give thought to whether or not a black pilot is qualified, something else is going on in your head, and that's a legacy that I will never vote to honor. So if they're taking legacy off, which we asked them to do, and just honor his life, you got my vote. But his legacy, I know what my father's inherited from the legacy of the South.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for that discussion.
So to me, the fact that these MAGA guys have to twist themselves into knots to defend the words of Charlie Kirk and try to say, no, he didn't say that. Charlie Kirk didn't say that. What he meant was this. Charlie meant this. When they go on these shows like Abby Phillip show is a real reason why this guy should not be honored, Charlie Kirk. People can say it's sad that he died, and that's fine. And, you know, people obviously can be upset about it and whatever they want to do. Again, going back to the Turning Point USA chapters in every school in Oklahoma. Again, if kids want to get together and that's something that they want to create on at their high school campus or their middle school or junior high school or whatever, fine. But there's no doubt that this guy was a controversial figure. Charlie Kirk said all kinds of inflammatory things. He made his name arguing with college kids. He didn't do anything heroic. He didn't do anything that is deserving of having statues forced on universities or making a coin as part of U.S. currency. Can the Republicans not find someone who was actually honorable, who did good things for the country that they could honor in this way? Again, this just comes down to, we're going to force this on you. And if you disagree, if you say no, then you're un-American and you hate the country and you're against free speech and all of this insane nonsense. You know, This Ryan Walters, the superintendent, saying that some schools didn't properly honor Charlie Kirk. Why should they honor Charlie Kirk? What did he have to do with Oklahoma schools? Nothing. He was a guy who said controversial things and somebody killed him. Should he have been killed? No. But they're going way overboard. MAGA is. And this is completely performative. This is the most manufactured culture war that I've ever seen. I can't, they want to say, the right-wingers want to say, well, what about George Floyd? Do college campuses have George Floyd statues? Are states requiring that all schools have a George Floyd group on their campus? Did the U.S. government issue George Floyd coins? No. But let me know what you think about all of this. Are you on the side of these MAGA guys, or are you on the side of Abby Phillip in pointing out that Charlie Kirk had controversial views that didn't align with much of the country? And again, like I keep saying, most people didn't know who Charlie Kirk was prior to a couple weeks ago. But let me know in the comments what you think of all of this, about what Abby Phillip had to say, about what anybody else on the show had to say, about my thoughts. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.